And good morning. We're live on the Falcons podcast. It is Monday morning. We're going to bring in our Facebook groups. It's Atlanta Falcons on SI, and that in our actually just one Facebook group. And then we'll bring in Scout Kennedy on X, see if it'll go there. StreamYard's had some trouble working with X here lately. Got some news over the weekend, and let's get to it. Welcome in, y'all. This is the Falcons podcast. It is Monday morning, and it's starting to feel like spring. It is the second day of March 2nd. Happy birthday, Tua Tagovailoa. We'll be talking a little bit about him as he made the news today in ESPN Insider's article from Dan Graziano and Jeremy Fowler. We're going to get into that. We'll get into some of our favorite eye-popping combine numbers. These things are getting crazier and crazier, and why anyone wouldn't run at the Indianapolis Salt Flats is beyond me as fast as that track has gotten. We'll get into that a little bit, and then we'll get into your questions as well, because the Falcons have pretty much been linked to every available quarterback around. They're obviously in the quarterback market. They'll bring in one for sure, maybe two. It just depends on who and how much and how. That's the big questions that we've had. But we do go live on Monday and Wednesday mornings and Friday mornings for members. Speaking of which, I want to say thank you to our newest member. That's Alexander Talom, or is it Talom? Hope I got your name right. Alexander became a member yesterday, and wanted to say thank you for joining the nest. It's a huge help, especially this time of year as things start slowing down just a little bit, to help make sure that we can do this year round. So 1 second, my blind is open. That's what this annoying thing is coming across my shoulder. The sunshine. Apologies. Let me turn this off real quick. Sorry about that. The good news is the sun's out. Should be a pretty nice day today in the mid 60s. Sorry about that, y'all. But we do go live because I want to say hello to some folks that have come in, especially John. And actually, I'm a little surprised at the visceral reaction that people have had to the news that one head coach told either Graziano or Jeremy Fowler, unsolicited, watch for Tua in Atlanta. That was the news. That's not just, what makes sense. They need a quarterback. Here's going to be available quarterback, another lefty. This was a source of sorts who could just be speculating too. I mean, they're doing a lot like we are. But the reaction has been a lot like this. John said, "Good morning, Scott and the Falcons family. He better not come here." And then Antonio coming in, he followed up with like, "Tua? Wait, what? Tua?" So I don't understand the overall negativity for it. Is it because of the perceived price tag that you see on there? But if he's coming to Atlanta, it would be on a veteran minimum, I would think. Just like Russell Wilson did 2 years ago. The guy's getting a load of guaranteed money, and there's probably some offset language in there. So any money that you pay him goes to the Dolphins anyway. So he comes in at $1.2, $1.3 million for Tua Tagovailoa. Yeah, I'll do that. Sure. Why wouldn't I? For 1.2, absolutely. I mean, that's about as low risk, medium reward. And you might think, okay, the guy's washed, but we're in the washed up quarterback market, kind of, on this one. When we're talking about, potential backups and, the pay there makes sense to me. Hey, Scott, would you bring in Tua Tagovailoa for $1.5 million? Yeah, sure. Why not? If it doesn't work, cut him. Only cost you $1.2 million. So, yeah, I would do that. Rusty's coming in. Good to see you, Rusty. Says, with the Falcons releasing that coach last week, yeah, it was ugly. And that happened quick. So, like Dark State Media or something reported, Friday evening, that there was some pretty ugly SA and then some, and then threatening, stalking, all kinds of stuff. With the former Michigan coach, former UConn coach, who's assistant defensive line coach, that was hired earlier in February, and he was gone by Saturday. And Rusty says, as fast as they did, I'm of the mindset they plan on keeping JPJ. I feel like they would have done something by now if they were gonna. Well, from a financial standpoint, they really can't because of the collective bargaining agreement. They could, but then it just depends. Then they'd owe him his entire salary. So I don't think they really can. So it's different. It's a coach versus a guaranteed contract on this of multiple millions of dollars. So we'll see. But that one, I don't know. That one was neither one of them are good, of course, but it's if you're good enough, you can get away with a lot more kind of thing. But JPJ's got a guaranteed contract and a union behind him. The assistant coach does not, and let alone the money involved, that they just didn't need this, and one happened after the other. So he's gone. He was gone in a hurry. Red Swarm, good to see you. Glad you're here. Trenton, you're flattering me. Says I'm here on time. Good. What's good, Scott? The superior scout lord. Yeah, I don't think so. I tell you what's fun though is seeing some of the guys show out at the combine that show out at the Senior Bowl. You're like, oh yeah, I can still do this. I don't scout players like I used to. I literally used to be able to watch a guy run a 40 and tell you within 2/100ths of a second what he ran just by watching it, because I had timed tens of thousands of 40s. And I don't get out and I don't watch, watching the NFL guys. I'm watching the game and, who's playing well and who's not necessarily scouting. I just don't do that as much anymore, but it's good to know I can still do that. When I said I like Jacoby Lane better than Malachi Fields, who came out of the combine looking better too. Jalen Farmer, one of my top OL, one of the best, also one of the best performers there, comes in, runs a 4.9 and change. I'm like, yeah, it looked it. So that's what you use both sets. Now you look at, there's some guys I've never heard of. I don't watch, like I said, I don't scout like I used to. And you see these numbers and you're like, wow, that's eye-popping numbers. Now let's go watch the tape. Is this guy an Eric Berry, who was a really instinctive football player? Or is he a Taylor Mays, who was a combine workout warrior, who really wasn't a very good football player? So you want to see those type of things on there. Let's see. Derek's already talking mock drafts. He says, good morning, Falcons fam. That's all of y'all. So good morning from Derek. I traded my second pick for 59, 71, and 114 in a 2027 fourth. Do you think something like that is possible, Scott? Whew, that's a good haul. No, I think that's a little rich. Going down 11 spots and you got a third and 2/4 for that. That's a little rich. So I think that one's a little rich. That'd be good. I'd do that. I don't want to come out of 48, but I'd do that. That one seems a little rich on that one. Dirty Bird Star, Tech fan. Good to see you. Happy birthday, Scott and Dirty Bird Nation. That's all, y'all. And 44. And I'm going to get, since I brought it up, it'll take me forever to get to the responses on this. So I'm praying we don't bring him to Atlanta. Why? Why? It's not like he's an automatic starter. It's not like he would cost any money. I mean, it is a zero risk proposition, really. If you come in and you can't throw the ball, you cut him. Okay. Why? I'd bring him in a heartbeat for what it would cost him. He's going to be cut from his contract, and he's a free agent with offset money. Steelers bring in Russell Wilson for $1.2 million. Yes. Tua, 1.2. Absolutely. So I want to see I'll start from the bottom and kind of work up where some other people said. I'm going to get Edward first. I hit my supers first. That's the prerogative. Appreciate the super chat, Edward. He says, I know it's just a combine, but I saw a lot of good receivers. Any idea who could fall in that pick 48 range? It's starting to feel with sports science, and these guys have trainers. It's starting to feel like The Incredibles. When everybody's super, no one is. It's like, okay, everybody's fast. I mean, really, everybody's fast. It's like, okay, 4.4. Okay, can he catch the freaking ball? Saw a graphic the other day. These were the 20 fastest 40 times in combine history. There was one 1,000-yard receiver on it. One. So y'all have heard me say it before, and I say it, kind of tongue in cheek, but the combine, everybody gets all giddy about these times. If you take this out of context, I'm going to sound like a moron. But speed is overrated. And that's what I mean by that. You've got to be fast, okay? 4.45 is fast. It's flying. 4.25 is 2 steps faster in a 40. It's faster, obviously. But 4.45 is fast. I don't necessarily automatically go to the 4.25 guy. Then I go, they're fast enough. And I had a kid do this to me at a combine. I timed him. He turned around and said, I got you 4.47. He says, what do you think I can get that down to? I said, I don't care. You're fast. Now I want to see you play ball. Now I want to see how you treat your teammates. Now I want to see your grades. You're fast. So any idea who could fall? Jacoby Lane, I think, may have moved up into that range. I really like him. He is such an easy pass catcher. There's some guys that really fight the ball into the hands. It's super cool. Oh, look at the concentration. He's not concentrating. He just catches it. He catches footballs like he's breathing. Like a fish swimming. It's just natural to him. He'll just be running. Oh, ball, catch, run. It's hard to explain until you see it, just how easy he makes catching the ball look. And then he comes in at 6'4" and change. What did he I already knew he was big. But let's see, wide receivers. I need to sort these better. I did them by chronology. Jacoby Lane, he comes in at 6'4", and damn it, I can't find him in here. USC, Jacoby Lane, there he is, 6'4", 200 pounds, 10.5-inch hands. Okay, there's another interesting thing, 10.5-inch hands. 4.47 with a 40-inch vertical leap at 6'4.5". That's impressive. The one thing I want to see is, like, will he go over the middle, the contested catches, as far as the toughness. If you add toughness to this physical ability, he's a first-round pick. So that was somebody I really liked. But if you're looking for speed, 4.35, 4.31, 4.34, 4.3, 4.40, 4.28, 4.40, 4.45, 4.36. They're out there. 4.37, 4.41. But can they get open? Can they catch the ball? Because speed, it's becoming a league where everybody's fast. There's just not that big a difference between 4.3 and 4.4. There's just not. So they're all that. Lance says he's out on Lane till he ran the 40. I wanted to see more. I wasn't out on him. But Malachi Fields at 4.62 is a little too similar to Drake as far as what he did. Did Bernard? That was another one that we've looked at a bunch. Did Bernard run at all? There's so many wide receivers here. Bernard. Was he is he hurt or something? He's not listed here on the results. That was somebody I'd be interested in see running. He's always available at that 48 range in there. So I want to grab another super, and then we'll get back to the talk about Tua. And the questions on here. He says, we have no healthy QBs. Fans can't be picky. And it's not just picky. It is, but it's, who are you expecting to get really on this? And Lance says Bernard ran. Okay, I'll do a search on it because he's not in the results for some reason. A 4.48 is solid. We have no healthy kids. It's not necessarily that beggars can't be choosers, but again, I asked the question a bunch: who and how? Who and how? Tyson Bate is actually Bagent. I looked him up. Tyson Bagent. All right, he might be the guy. You're probably gonna have to trade a third rounder for him, for a guy that's got 4 starts in his career and hasn't thrown but 6 passes in 2 seasons. That's not necessarily an answer. That's a big risk too. I saw someone say Malik Willis. Well, Malik Willis, they're talking about $30 million for him. The Falcons aren't in that market. So would I spend 20? I wouldn't spend 20 on Malik Willis right now. This league is quarterback insane. I wouldn't spend 20 million on Malik Willis. To me, that's too much. And again, his sample size is a lot smaller than Michael Penix's. I just I don't understand where we come off, as Atlanta Falcons fans, all high and mighty, like, no, we don't want that guy. You don't want Tua for 1.2, as opposed to what? That's the other part of it, is as opposed to what? You're getting Tua for $1.2 million. How does that hurt? That doesn't keep you from going and get another quarterback. How does that hurt you? And say that, Tua's one concussion. Let me see if I can see it on here. When I scrolled down, I saw it. And this is something we've been talking about for a while. Baby Driver mentions it. Tua's brain. I don't believe that Tua brains is baloney. I don't believe that BS for a second. I believe Flacco, Kyler, Jacoby, Brissett. And Tua can't win if he plays in cold weather. And there was one more in here, that he was one concussion away. I think it was from Larry here. He's one concussion away and he's out of the league for good. Yeah, and that's a real problem if you're paying him $100 million, a $200 million on a 4-year deal. It's not if he's 1.2. I've said it over and over and over and over again. I want Tua to put his money in a long-term offshore account and go back to Hawaii and go surf. Maybe not quite that specific, but him retiring from the league would be just fine with me. Not that I care. He cares what I think. But, I want these guys to maximize their careers. I want them to be successful. I'm a fan of the game. I'm a fan of the individuals. I also am a fan of them as human beings. And, if their career is cut short, I know that can be painful. But if their quality of life is cut short, that's worse for me. I'd rather have you live with regrets of your playing days than not be able to tie your shoes at 40 because you've got brain problems. So, thinking on that. And Trenton says, we'd be fools to not want to establish QB like Flacco, Kyler Murray, Tua, Mac Jones. Any of them are better than our current scenario. And there will be. There will be guys come in. The Falcons, when I say Penix or bust, there's one guy on this list, maybe two, that I think have the chance to be multi-year guys. It's not Flacco. He's old. Murray, I have to do it backwards here. Murray's got a chance to be a multi-year guy. Tua, no, not for me. He's a stopgap, cheap option. Why not? Type of player. Just because of the health concerns and, is he, with the shots he's taken to the head, can he play the game at a high level still? And Mac Jones has a chance. And if you think you can get Mac Jones, if you think Mac Jones is a long-term viable option, then you make a trade for him. Would you trade your second for Mac Jones? If you think that he's the answer is yes. So, if not, then probably not. I don't want to give up future, a possible 4 or 5 year player for a 1-year rental. So if I'm bringing in Mac, am I out on Penix or am I just best man win and the next one, whoever wins gets another contract? So the Falcons will absolutely need to bring in an experienced player. Jacoby Brissett makes a lot of sense. Flacco makes a lot of sense on that. So, we'll see. And they're being linked to just about every single quarterback out there. We know this. We do know this. Rusty, good to see you. So it's amazing how these kids are prepped for the combine for months, and the wide receiver from USC somehow still tanked his stock at the podium. Don't do drugs, kids. I'm not saying he's, doing anything like that, but yeah, one of the most prestigious private schools in the country at USC, and it was a Lemon. What's his name? Makai Lemon, who's talked about as being a super high pick. I need to sort this so I can find it better. It's still in the order that they went, which is in no order at all. Why is Lemon not on here? I must not have gotten everybody for all the wide receivers when I copied this spreadsheet into a spreadsheet. Yeah, there's some freeze frames out there that are. There's some freeze frames out there of him looking, up through his skull with he looks a little scary. He's out in Hollywood. He may have a chance doing some films or something on there. Let's get to a couple more of your comments. Let me see. I want Jennings Dunker. My daughter asked me, what's a mullet? I'm like, here, let me show you. This is the mullet of all mullets. That was Jennings Dunker. Dad, did you have a mullet? And she doesn't really understand what this means. Anybody our age asks. I'm like, I was a soccer player in the 80s. Yes, I had a mullet. It died in the 80s, 1989. I remember getting my haircut. And it should have stayed dead in the 80s. I feel like some goofy baseball kids or hockey kids ironically brought the mullet back as kind of a joke. Jennings is a big, not attractive man. Him doing it is kind of funny. He leans into it. And then other people started doing it unironically, and all of a sudden the mullet is back. Why? There's hardly any fashion. Our movies were legit. Movies in the 80s, we actually blew stuff up. Music was kind of hit and miss. Fashion, awful. Fashion of the 80s was awful. Atlanta Falcons, bad. Atlanta Braves, bad, awful. That was fashion. And John says, Miami will not cut Tua with a $99 million dead cap, exclamation point. They're already talking like it's a done deal. That's the thing, John. Everybody that was they're talking about it. The Schefters, the Rappaports of the world are talking about not if, but when, and that they'll wait and do it with a June 1st designation, so it splits across 2 years. But this is all but done. So, when we're talking about Tua being available, yeah, he's going to be available. And that's scary too. And again, if it had anything to do, if you said 10 million for Tua, I'd say no, forget it. 1.2 million. Yeah, I'll bring him in. 1.2 million to throw the ball around and see if you've got something. Hell, that's a rounding error for the Atlanta Falcons. You see what the Atlanta Braves overall revenue was last year? It was $759 million. The Falcons, it's a cost thing for me. Risk reward. I like low risk. The reward is kind of meh, but it could be. I mean, the reward's actually pretty high reward. The risk reward on this is where I like it. Low risk, high reward. It's not probable, but quarterback 2, all right, $1.2 million. Yeah, I'm interested. But they are cutting him. $100 million dead cap hit. The Falcons took on, I think, $44 million with Matt Ryan, which was a league record at the time. The very next year, the Broncos doubled it. $85 million on $85 million dead cap on Russell Wilson. Split across 2 years. They took on $50 million in 2024, went 10-7 and made the playoffs. They still had $35 million and went 14-3, I believe, was their final record, and the number 1 seed with $35 million dead cap hit still on Russell Wilson last year. So it can be done, but it helps when you got a Hall of Fame coach and you hit on your rookie quarterback in the draft. So those are two things that, Falcons don't have right now. So, but they're not going to have to take. They've eaten their dead cap. They had the last season and a half of dead cap, and they've got, what's it going to be? And the good thing is, I think they'll get $10 million in refunds back. So his overall number will be 2 years and $90 million. But it was supposed to be a $35 million hit this year, and I think they'll get 10 back. So it might just be $25 million across 2 seasons, where they really only take on 10 million, 15 million, and 10 million in dead money over the next 2 seasons. That's not that bad when you look at the dead money across the league, and you think of the fact that the Miami Dolphins, and the thing is with the Dolphins, it's not just the $50 million that they're taking on from say you split it across 2 years evenly. Okay. They're taking on $100 million of dead cap money. They've already got a crazy amount of dead money. So they're going for a full reset. Their dead cap number is already $73.9 million. That's about what it was for the Falcons in 2022. It was like $80 million. It was a third of their payroll. So their dead money, $28 million on Tyreek Hill, $21 million on Jalen Ramsey. These are guys. You'll notice something that makes sense, that you'll notice a pattern here. 32 years old, 32 years old, 35 years old for Terron Armstead, $11 million. So the Dolphins are going to do a full reset. They're cutting him. And according to Dan Graziano and Jeremy Fowler, One NFL head coach says, watch Tua end up in Atlanta. For a league minimum, so be it. I could see worse on that for sure. Let's get back to Sam says, keep in mind, did we even get a 40 time for Drake? No, nothing ever went public, and Arthur Smith was very coy about that for some reason. You know, he was like, oh, we got it. We got one. Like he's trading state secrets. And this is after they'd already drafted him. You know, who cares at that point? You know, oh, we had him. We heard about as they tried to justify the Michael Penix pick after giving $100 million to $90 million. $90 million to Kirk Cousins. Oh, my God. They justified the hell out of that. We had him at 4-4 something. They bragged about that one, didn't they? Oh, goodness. Chris Walker, good morning. Hope you were doing well. Troy Green says, give me Stetson Bennett. You know, another low risk, low ceiling type of option that, you know, gets thrown around in these parts here with Stetson Bennett. And let's see. No Tua, please. And Jay says, I'd take Tua at $10 million. You wouldn't have to. That's the thing. I mean, Tua would basically be free. You get what you pay for, right? I understand that too. But let's talk about options out there. Can you get Kyler Murray, and what would he cost? Should be offsetting, so he should be cheap because he's got a ton of guaranteed money too. Let's see. If I go to Arizona and look at Kyler's contract, his dead money is $54 million. Seems like a bargain at this point, doesn't it? It's $54 million. If they cut him, he's got a base salary of 23, so you're not trading for him necessarily unless they're going to eat all of that contract. You know, Joe Flacco. I'd be real interested in Jacoby Brissett. It's a 1-year deal. You know, that's a 1-year option. He might be one of my favorites actually. But they're not, you know, the word out of Las Vegas is they don't necessarily want to start Mendoza as a rookie, and they're already paying Jacoby. So Jacoby might not be leaving Las Vegas anyway on that one. Let's see here. And then there's lots of rumors, John, with Jacoby. Yeah, there's rumors for everybody. I mean, everybody is going to be linked. Joe Flacco is probably the number one. If we're setting bets right now, who's going to be the veteran quarterback the Falcons have on the roster in 2026? Betting odds start here with Joe Flacco on that one. UFC 5 fighter has an interesting question. Was Roddy White overrated? Well, see, that's an interesting question. In order for me to answer that question, I have to ask you a follow-up, which is, well, what did you think he was rated? You know, did you think, oh, he's, you know, one of the top 5 receivers, you know, he's being touted as one of the top 5 wide receivers in NFL history. Yeah, that's too high. That would mean he's overrated. But I think historically, Atlanta Falcons players on a national level are woefully underrated because it's a losing franchise and they don't get the flowers they deserve. William Andrews and Gerald Riggs were superstars in the 80s. William Andrews is one of the best running backs to ever suit him up and not get any attention for it because he played for a crap team. And then, you know, and then his career was cut a little bit short. Chris Lindstrom still gets put behind other guys at guard. We see that all the time. So I would have to know, where do you think Roddy White was rated? Roddy White is probably, who am I forgetting to say, the second best wide receiver in Atlanta Falcons history? Am I forgetting somebody? I mean, we know who number one is. That one's, if you're arguing on who the number one wide receiver is, then you don't know ball. That one's easy. Arguably the number one Falcon of all time. But number two, it's probably Roddy. So if you think, no, he should be 5 or 6, then you might think he's overrated. But when people say make that comment, that is a subjective measure. What is overrated? What do you think he's rated? I think he's probably the number 2 wide receiver in Atlanta Falcons history. Really good player, and his number, if it's not already, his number should go in the Ring of Fame. He was a really, really good player for the Atlanta Falcons. Let's see. Dirty Bird asked, do you think a 2027 third and a conditional second could get Mac Jones? Yeah, I do. That could not, and I apologies for those you listening, not 2 picks. A 2027 conditional second, let's call it that way. A 2027 conditional second that could go down to a third or a fourth based on playing time. Yeah, I think that could probably get it done. Dalton, thanks for being a member. One of our new members. So Dalton has joined in the last week also. And if you weren't on here to hear me say thank you. If Kyler is cut, he's going to have offsetting language. His money is guaranteed anyway. So he's already getting paid. His base salary, just looked it up. His base salary, why are you changing this up? Was $25 million? He's got a base in 2026 of $18 million. Where'd I get up with the 25? $18 million. That is already guaranteed. In 2026, he'll earn a base salary of 22.8. That's where I got it. Of 22.8 is from the other page because that's his roster bonus and everything, which is all fully guaranteed. So if there's offset language in it, he can't double dip, meaning offset language means if I cut you, I have to pay you this $23 million, but any money you earn at a new gig comes back to me to offset what I am paying you. So when that happens, the player signs for the minimum. So if you sign him on a 1-year deal for a minimum, or you sign him if you think you want to sign him to a long-term deal, you set his base at 1.2 and you give him a $50 million signing bonus. So across 10 years, and then you're only paying him $6 million. So we'll see. But it would be cheap. It would be cheap on those guys. Floyd, appreciate you checking in. Hope you're doing well. Let's see. Let me go down. Yeah, the talk about Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah, I mean, those are the kind of guys you're looking at. Who is going to be your veteran quarterback? I don't want to spend a whole lot of money, and I don't want to give up many draft picks for it either. That's where it comes down to me, because there's not really anybody worth spending a ton of money on, or at least that you would have to. And there's nobody I see as a long-term option that I want to give up high picks for. Proven long-term option. Some of those guys out there that could be available, they're sniffing around. Some of the backups that have seen time, because everybody's playing 2 quarterbacks now because nobody's lasting 17 games. Davis Mills, GAC from Norcross, is starting to get some sniffs at Houston. He'd be worth a trade. McKee out of Philadelphia, he's starting to get some sniffs around there. Jarrett Stidham, 1 year left on his contract up in Denver. He's got some starts under his belt, starting to get some looks as well. Terry, good to see you. Said, I see where the Vikings are releasing Aaron Jones, saving them $7.7 million. Would be down with a 1-year deal for him at, say, $5 million to back up Bijan. I'll be a little surprised. Aaron's getting older. If he gets $5 million, that's one of the reasons they're cutting him. His numbers weren't real good, and he's getting older. So let's go younger. Trade down, split a 6 and a 2 7ths, and draft a running back. They are cheap. Speaking of running backs, and as JTB says right underneath that, we need more picks back. Yeah, exactly. One of the combine numbers that was interesting to me. There's a couple of them actually. Markel Bell, the big offensive lineman, his video is from the Senior Bowls on the YouTube channel. He comes in at 6'8". Where's Markel Bell? 6'9" and a quarter, 346 pounds. Okay, 87 and an eighth wingspan. So that's 7'3" on a wingspan, and he was good. He was solid. Ran okay, 5.36 for a guy who needs to develop his lower body strength. That's not bad. But the interesting thing, 36.5-inch arms. I mean, that's how you get you're that big, and you got pterodactyl wings. You can stretch out huge. The interesting thing to me on this was 9-inch hands. Okay, what does that mean? 9-inch hands. It's not necessarily small, but I'm 6'1", and I just verified just to check mine. My left hand is actually a little bit bigger than my right hand. It's kind of strange. My left hand is 9.5. I have 9.5-inch hands. I can palm a basketball, so it's decent big. I can't move around with it and can't control it, but I can palm a basketball. But this dude is twice my size and 9-inch hands. Those are the things that kind of freak me out. Another one that popped up. Y'all check out, we've talked about the running back that really was impressive as you can be at Senior Bowl. Mike Washington. Mike Washington comes in and just tears it up at the combine. His numbers were, and I don't know why I can't find him this way. Mike Washington, 6'1", 223, 4.33, 39-inch vertical. Nice. 10'8" broad jump. Nice. Those are all good. They're not unbelievable. They're elite. They're really elite. Now, this is the number that is just like, what? Is this a typo? He's got 33.5-inch arms. That's offensive tackle. And his wingspan is 82 inches. 6'10" wingspan on a guy who is 6'1". I am 6'1". My wingspan is 73 inches. 6'1", 73 inches. This guy is 6'1" and has an 82-inch wingspan. It's a foot farther than me. We're the same height. That is just unbelievable. When they say these guys are built different, there's some genetics in play here, y'all. These guys are absolutely built different. It was crazy. Some of those things that jumped out at me. Going back to the Terrence, the Roddy and Terrence. I love Terrence. I love Terrence Mathis, and Terrence Mathis still lives in this area. I run into him. He's coached football around here for a while. I run into him every once in a while, and love Terrence. And in 1998, the Chris Chandler to Terrence Mathis out route was automatic. It was unbelievable how often they could get that every time. First down, every time. But Roddy had a better career than Terrence overall. So I think Roddy's a clear number 2. I was like, unless I'm forgetting somebody. Roddy was good. Roddy was a wrestler. So I think he wrestled collegiately at UAB too. I'm not positive about that, but he definitely wrestled in high school. And if y'all don't know this story about Joe Horn. Joe Horn was one of those who was kind of eaten up a little bit with little man's disease. He was super mouthy, really obnoxious on the field. Then he played for the Saints. So you hated the guy. And I think it was after Roddy's rookie year, Joe saw him and saw the untapped potential and saw that he was not playing the game the way it should be played and playing the way as well as he could. And it was there the second time they played. It may have been the last game of the year. Joe says, I'm a free agent. I'm going to come here and I'm going to teach you how to play this game. And they paired up for a season, and Roddy went on to have a Falcons Hall of Fame type of career. And I will always speak well of Joe Horn for doing that. What you see on the field, again, it's like Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan is playing a bit. He's playing a role. He's a WWE heel. Joe found an edge that needed him to get to that next level, considering he wasn't overly blessed physically. He wasn't Julio Jones, Calvin Johnson size, speed stuff. He was a little bit undersized and had a long, terrific career. He had to find an edge out there for him. And it grate you as an opponent. He got on your nerves. That's okay. That's part of the thing. As a person, fantastic human being who helped Roddy White become who he was with the Atlanta Falcons. So when you speak Joe Horn's name, speak well. Roddy was really good, but he was a good blocker, tough to jam at the line of scrimmage, good contested catches, tough. Roddy was a good player. Ski says, why would we get a smooth brain vegetable for a QB? Because he's free. And, maybe there's something there and he wants to keep playing. If you can't pass the physical, and I don't know how you would even check that stuff. Hey, can you pass a driver's test right now with your eyes, with your vision? Because he's free. And, he's still young and he's talented. That's why. I do not consider him a long-term option. I consider him a nice, cheap veteran with some upside. Jimmy Garoppolo is a name that's thrown around in there too, for sure. Let me see here. Falcons trying to win the cheap QB championship. Again, who and how? Who do you want to go spend a bunch of money on? Who? Malik Willis? I'd rather win the cheap QB championship than be the Bet GM worst contract, free agent contract of all time champion. Because guess who just finished number one there? That's right. Your Atlanta Falcons and Kirk Cousins. And, they want to call it 4 years and 180. They actually will pay him 90 across 2. So it was half as bad as it's written out, but nobody on those deals gets the full amount of those contracts. But the Falcons just won the Bet GM championship for the worst contract, free agent contract of all time. I'd rather win the cheap QB championship personally on that one. On that one. And yeah, Earth says he's got the Deadpool Davey hits. Earl, good to see you. I said Earth. It's Earl, obviously. Earl Thompson. Just crazy. The RAS on Sadiq, I bet. Yeah, because it wasn't perfect because as far as Sadiq had a really good combine too, but his size would hold him back on a relative athletic score. He measured at 6'3" and 1/8, 241 pounds. I mean, that's like Anquan Bolden size. That's jumbo wide receiver size, but he came in at 4.39 with a 43.5. How about Eli Stowers coming in with that Brock Bowers type of size? 6'3" and 3/4, 239. He went 4.51, but he had a 45.5 vertical leap. I think when we talk about explosion numbers and separation, I think Kyle Pitts was 37. I've got a reference open here right now. I want to open up a different one, though, because there's another guy I want to talk about that had just freakazoid numbers at the combine. Kyle Pitts, I think at his pro day, I think he was a 36, maybe 37 vertical, which is good, but it's not unicorn good. It's okay. And compared to his 40 time, 30, actually, it was a lot worse than I thought it was. His vertical was 33.5 at his pro day. So 33.5 among the tight ends, and most of them jumped, would be about fourth from bottom on that. RJ Maryland came in at 6'4.5. He was out of SMU. He came in at 33. Then there's there's two at 33.5. So, who is that? It is Zakee Wheatley out of Penn State, went 32.5. So there are only two guys below Kyle Pitts on his vertical leap. On that one. The other one that was just eye-popping numbers. Y'all remember when Anthony Richardson got drafted, right? I put him into a bunch of different positions on relative athletic score because his times, his measurements were 6'4", 244, and he ran a 4.43 with a 10.9 vertical jump and a 40.5-inch vertical leap. Got him drafted number 4 overall. Now, the guy who was the maddest about Anthony Richardson being a bust is now Taylon Green. Taylon Green comes out of Arkansas at 6'6", 227, goes 4.36, 43.5-inch vertical leap with an 11.2 standing broad jump. It's one of the most athletic guys on the field the minute he puts a helmet on. Would you take a flyer on him on day 3? Yes, I would. And I'd probably move his position. I don't know that he'll ever be a quarterback, if he'll ever develop into a quarterback. But if we do a relative athletic score at wide receiver at the NFL Combine, and I put him there, guess who comes in at number 1? Taylon Green does. Can he catch? Can he catch at all? Boy, I'd like to find out. I would absolutely like to find out on that. Teddy Bridgewater, no thanks. AJ, thanks for being a member. He says, if they're truly cut, then these are the quarterbacks I want in order. Tua, Kyler Murray, Joe Flacco, Jimmy G. Any of these would at least give you a good floor and could push Penix outright take the job. I would, for me, I'd probably want Kyler Murray first. Mac Jones isn't going to get cut. You have to trade for him, but guys that could get cut. And if Jacoby Brissett, if he got cut, I would probably want him second. Not Jacoby. I'm sorry. The guy I'm forgetting is Geno. Geno Smith was who I was thinking. I was mixing him up in Vegas. Hopefully I didn't screw that up too bad. Probably was corrected in here. Geno is the guy I'm talking about in Vegas, not Jacoby. Jacoby could be an option, but Geno looks like he might not be an option. If Geno was cut, that would probably be a top 3 choice for me also. What about Trey Lance? Trey Lance is, again, one of those low risk, what kind of reward, roll the dice type of guys. Wouldn't cost you much money on that one. Draft Cade in the 4th. Which Cade? Klubnik? Oh, because I was thinking Cole. I was getting my guys confused. How about, do you see the numbers that our guy from North Dakota State put up? Cole Payton comes in at 6'2" and 5'8", 232. I told you he was yoked with 10 and a quarter inch hands. So he's making that ball look like a grapefruit when he holds it. 4.56 on the 40 with a 40-inch vertical leap and a 10-10 with a 7.12. He's one of the 5 guys that did an L cone at the combine, and a 4.36 short shuttle. Guys, if he can't throw the ball, that is an H-back dream numbers right there. That's what I said they should have done with Tebow. I didn't know that Tebow was already so banged up that he was basically, his athleticism had been sapped from him from running so many fullback dives at Florida. But Cole Payton, there is your Taysom Hill. That's him right there. I mean, 6'2.5", 232, 4.56 with a 40-inch vertical leap. He needs to go out, and if he went out there and did a highlight video of him dunking the ball, just because 40-inch vertical leap at 6'3", you know what he can do with 10 and a quarter inch hands. It would get a bazillion views. He would have a lot of fun doing that one. Atlanta Focus said, I thought it was Brian Finner who changed Roddy. He may have helped, but it was the Joe Horn, one. Halsey says, I still don't see the problem with earnestly searching for a long-term quarterback. It matters. Draft one. Yeah, draft one. That's what your draft picks are for. See if you can drop, but if they're good, they don't last. They move around a little bit because quarterback is too valuable. If I'm going to win now mode, guys on the final year of their contracts, these are the guys we're talking about trading right now. I'm not going to re-sign. I'm not going to put $10, $15 million into my backup quarterback. You draft one and you keep them for 4 years. Then you draft another one. That's where you should be getting your backups on that one. Is out of the draft. And yes, Eddie, it's a really bad quarterback class this year on paper. So it's not a good year to be needing a quarterback. It's just not. There's not a lot of good options out there as free agents. And unless you're the Raiders, there might not be another quarterback taken in the first round on that one. Zach Wilson, he hasn't done anything in the league either on that one. But it's cheap. Would you bring him in? Sure. Non-guaranteed contracts. And if he looks like crap, I cut him. Man, I'm bringing in everybody. I'm bringing in everybody. OMT says Diego Pavia will be our Taysom Hill. Cole Payton. Get Cole Payton. And Cole Payton may be the number 2 quarterback taken. We'll see. Ty Simpson, 3 for Cole Payton. Let's go on that one. Look at Trenton coming in. He's been a member for 3 months. Thank you. It's about how long we started. So Trenton was one of our very first members. Love you, Trenton. Appreciate everything. He says, I really appreciate you and Garrett. Also, Scott, talking about Falcons is my only hobby, worth the investment. Well, thank you so much. And, we try and make sure you're not just supporting the show. That's the biggest thing for me, but I try and provide value for you with other stuff that we've been doing too. Our Friday only members only podcast. And then we'll keep the bigger we get, the more we do, the more we will keep doing. So I always just, what I ask for out of anything in life, whether it's my teams, myself, my children, just keep getting better. Just keep getting better. So that's what I want to keep doing for this channel and for you, is to keep getting better. Dez, appreciate you checking in on Facebook. So I've been hearing Jimmy G and the Bears backup. So Tyson Bagent is the Bears backup. They're talking him up. They've got a lot of reason to talk him up, because if they want to trade him, they want to get the best possible trade they can get. He's had some success in the preseason, but he's only thrown 6 passes in the last 2 years. He's got 3 starts, I believe, in his career, and those were in 2023. And his career numbers are 3 touchdowns against 6 interceptions. So could he end up being the Steve Young of the world when he gets traded to the 49ers and goes on to win multiple Super Bowls? Sure. It's possible. Is it probable? No. And he doesn't have the resume as an undrafted free agent who hasn't done anything in the league that makes me want to go out and trade high draft picks for him. That's my thought on Tyson Bagent. Jimmy G, man's been a good luck charm. He's going to the playoffs, I think, every freaking year. When's the last time he threw a meaningful pass? Let me look up Jimmy. You forget about him, that he's even still in the league. Let's see. 2025, he did not throw a pass. 2024, he started 1 game, went 0-1, and was 27 of 41. In 2023, in Vegas, he went 3-3, 7-3 in 2022. So he has 17 starts in the last 4 years. I mean, touchdown interception ratio is one of my favorites. 2-1 in 2024, 7-9 in 2023, 16-4 playing for Kyle Shanahan in 2022. Kyle Shanahan makes quarterbacks a lot of money. He's an option. He is. We can play the who's going to be the veteran quarterback on this team game, and there's a lot of options. There's just none. There's none that really move the needle for me as far as, oh yeah, this team's a quarterback. One, I don't know that they're a quarterback away anyway, but is this who's the quarterback out there that makes you a playoff contender? The best option for the Atlanta Falcons is still a healthy Michael Penix, and him building on his rookie campaign where he showed a lot of promise, pushing the ball downfield, making big plays, playing loose. When do we see the best of Michael Penix? When they're coming from behind, when it's grip it and rip it. That's when we see the best from Michael Penix. I want to see him loose. I want to see him aggressive. I don't want to see him in check down mode. I don't want to see him trying to go through 4 reads. I want to see him, like I said, grip it and rip it is the best way I can say I want to see Michael Penix next year. That's still the best option for the Atlanta Falcons for success, is the best hope for success is Michael Penix. There's other guys out there, and you may feel differently. That's what I think. Now, is Kyler Murray a real option? Kyler Murray on the turf would be pretty exciting. He would be. He's got to have another weapon for sure. Wide receiver is still one of the big needs on this team, but if you get him, you can still go get wide receivers. I can draft a wide receiver. I can sign a wide receiver in free agency. I can get 2 more wide receivers because Kyler Murray would be cheap. And then if he's big, then if he does well, I think the quarterback market is so crazy. It's either you don't have a quarterback. There's 3 options. You have a quarterback and you've committed 30% of your resources to him. You don't have a quarterback and you've committed 30% of your resources to him, or you don't have a quarterback. Those seem to be the only options. except for the lucky few who have a quarterback on a rookie contract who didn't piss away their rookie contract years by signing a high dollar free agent. So right now the Falcons are in, I don't know if we have a quarterback or not. So if you don't know if you have one, then you don't have one. You're hoping that Michael Penix becomes that guy, but trying to go out and get one is going to be tough right now. Jameis Winston, he's just one team away from completing the NFC South tour. Jameis would be good for content, and there's a hell of a lot worse backups out there for sure. Number 2 options. And he seems to be a good locker room guy with helping to develop guys, kind of knows who he is out there. I mean, I wouldn't be against Jameis Winston coming here. And I don't really care about I was so mad about Arthur Smith. I didn't really care that the Saints were running up the score. Just stop them then. You're the ones that quit out there on the field. I'm not going to complain at them for not taking a knee. It's your fault for being so terrible. Let's see here. Yeah, and Kirby, good to see. He says, to be real, Scott, I don't think any of the available free agent quarterbacks have any type of edge over Penix other than they're not rehabbing any. Yeah, they might be healthy. That's the one. We need to discuss the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Yeah, we will. This ended up being kind of a quarterback episode because all of the talk from the combine for Falcons point of view was the other quarterback that's going to come in. And as I've repeatedly said, the 2026 season is all about finding if you've got Penix or not, because again, it's who and how. There's nobody out there really that you convince me. Tyson Bagent. Okay, I'm not convinced. He has no track record of success, none. Kyler Murray, maybe. Can you get him for 1, 2? Is he? I would like to see Kyler Murray. Jacoby Brissett, long-term journeyman. Geno Smith, kind of the same way. Jimmy Garoppolo hadn't played meaningful games in 3 years. He's, have to dust off. Tua Tagovailoa, they're willing to pay him $100 million to go away. There's not good options out there. Mac Jones, okay, do you have the draft picks to trade for him, and do you want to give him up? Or is he just another good product of Kyle Shanahan? Malik Willis, too expensive, too unproven. So there's not great options out there this year, which is one of the reasons you didn't necessarily mind giving up your first-round pick for an edge rusher, because you weren't going to be in the quarterback market this year anyway. Or at least there wouldn't be anybody that you could go get in the quarterback market. Let's see here. Tony, good to see you. Says, good morning, Scott. Falcons linked to every QB. Yes, absolutely. Every single one of them. How about bringing Steve Bartkowski back for a year? Probably still throw the deep ball. Oh, and you know what? As soon as Winston put on the red and black and started having fun, you'd love him. I mean, it's part of being a fan. I mean, I saw people justify Terry Fontenot's signing of Kirk Cousins by saying it was 4D chess with their whole chests. 4D chess to sign Kirk Cousins as a very elaborate bluff and ruse in order to get Michael Penix at number 8. There's people that say that and believe it. You don't think they'd warm up to Jameis Winston? That's the level of bias we're talking about here? They'd, of course, warm up to Jameis Winston. So I don't really care. It's a job for all of them, and that's what I've told y'all before. When we fight to the death for the decisions that these guys make, it's a job. It's a job for them. They're professionals. The only people that have a chance to be around as long as you are the owners. It's a job. Raheem Morris, I'm going to back him like he's, family, because he's the head coach of my team. He's got a job 3 weeks later. He's not it's a job. Terry Fontenot will have another job too. All these guys will. So it is a job. Let's see here. AJ So speaking of Ellis, if Mark Ramundi is right, I'm not paying him top 3 linebacker money. Plenty of linebackers we could get. I think he meant in free agency. I don't know that he meant overall. I mean, that's $20 million. I think he just meant overall and what Caden Ellis can get. But Caden Ellis, I think, will be in the 13 million range. And, you know, he's pretty good. He's really good. But, again, how they handle free agency, and it might not be up to the Falcons on this one. Caden Ellis played on a non-guaranteed contract in 2025 for the right to be a free agent. Good for him. It's risky, but he did it and he excelled. I'll speak nothing of good things for Caden Ellis, and hopefully he doesn't end up in division. He'd be such a great fit in Denver. You know, watching the Broncos, they need help at linebacker, at inside linebacker, and he's so good. Dogs says, "Are you going to any pro days this year?" I might go to Clemson. It's on March 12th. I might go down to Auburn's. It'll be coming up too because those are close. Those are 2 hours away. And then, I have work there. I don't know that I'll go down to Florida's. I probably won't go to Georgia's. I'll just wait for results on those things. So we'll see on that. And Robert says, all I want is for the Falcons to win. I don't care who the quarterback is as long as it isn't Marcus Mariota if we win. Yeah. I mean, you look at the top available free agents and like Marcus is on that list. You're like, no. Talk about scorching bridges. Yeah. Marcus would not be embraced if he were to come back. Man, he's got some weird fans too. You know, there's always people that are fans of players and not teams, and they follow them around from team to team. And I got some of that with Cousins, but the weirdest ones were the Marcus Mariota fans that would defend him life or death in the mentions and stuff that you could tell they weren't Falcons fans. They were just Mariota fans. Weird, man. Weird. Let's see here. Halsey said the Falcons would be better off going forward as is. I think you're trying to say would be like better off trying to move on from Penix. Penix will not beat the odds and be a desirable starting quarterback. If he proves them wrong, cool. Did I read that right? Would be better off going forward as if Penix, this is what you're saying, as if Penix will not beat the odds. Yeah, I listen, I don't disagree with you. It's just that, again, the question for me keeps coming to how and who, or who and how. Identify that guy who you think would be the long-term starter. Okay, that's hard. That alone is hard. And then 2, how do you get him? Those are 2 monumental hurdles in trying to replace Michael Penix in 2026. So now, you know, and we see all these names. Well, what about this guy? What about this guy? What about this guy? And then there's not a one of them that has a better resume than Michael Penix. You know, they're either unproven, washed up, or washed out. So, and you don't have a first-round pick. And there's not a guy that you'd want to spend a first-round pick on anyway. So you're trying to get lucky on these is what it gets. You know, yeah, Haynes King could be a good addition. Yeah, Cole Payton could be a good addition. But you're talking about day 2, day 3 quarterbacks who have a hit rate, you know, worse than BJ Upton did with the Atlanta Braves. So it's tough. Yeah, and B-side talking about Mariota as a solid backup. Yeah, he is a solid backup. He is, and but he's just not welcome here in Atlanta. He's just not welcome here in Atlanta. He flat out quit. I understand why he left, but then not coming back, he quit. So, and B-side says Malik Willis only played a few games with boys. He looked phenomenal in them. Not saying we should get it, but I fully understand the hype. Yeah. How much better did he look in his 3 games than Michael Penix looked in his 3 games as a rookie? You know? And the thing is I've seen so much more bad from him too. You know, there's a playing for LaFleur in Green Bay is a great system to be in. It's very quarterback friendly, and he is a hell of a coach. Is he going to find the same success someplace else? I don't think so. I don't think so. Not for a team that is quarterback needy, and someone's going to give him $30 million. Man, he should give a big chunk of that to the LaFleurs on that one. All right, I am just about to get out of here. My voice is about to give out, y'all. We're at 65 minutes. When we come back on Wednesday, we will do a post-combine mock draft. We got some more numbers on these guys. And yes, Major, I think our quarterback depth would make any quarterback look questionable. Two wide receivers is a must, and that can happen. The good news is when you set the bar so low, it's easy to improve. Remember me saying earlier, always get better. Always get better. The Falcons will get better at wide receiver. As long as Drake stays healthy, the Falcons will be better at wide receiver in 2026. It's almost impossible not to be. I want to hear anybody that waits till the end, that's still here at the end in the comments, that's an Alabama fan or watched him play. If Ty Simpson is there at 48, do you pull the trigger? I don't know enough about him, though. To be honest, there isn't a quarterback I would take at 48. I'd try and get Cole Payton, 4th round maybe. I'd be real interested in him, 3rd, 4th round if I could get him. And the thing is, if I get Cole Payton or Taylon Green, I can use them in other ways. I can. Is Willis really being hyped though? Yes, he is. When you've got NFL insiders, the big ones, talking about him getting $30 million in free agency, that is hype. That is absolutely hype. Is he Willie being hyped though? Yes. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. All right, y'all. Special thanks to my members of the Falcons podcast and to our super chat superstars, Edward, Lance, Rusty, and Trenton. One of the guys has been around for 3 months as a member. Be like Rusty. Give us a try. We're still growing. We haven't lost members. So the people that have signed up, I feel they are getting their value for it. And love y'all. I will see you on Wednesday. Got a little Johns Creek Milton baseball tonight, so I'll be over at Milton this evening, and I'll be back here on Wednesday to talk with y'all, talk with Nick, and then we'll do a mock draft. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for being here, everybody.